Hey there folks, Mark Johnson from TechSnob. I'm going to do a full review on the Samsung Galaxy Note 8.0. Now this is Samsung's latest tablet. First time they've hit the 8-inch size. They did have an 8.9 that came out a couple years ago, but for the most part, this is the first 8-inch tablet they've come out with. Starting off with the hardware and design is definitely, pretty decent. I mean, it's typical Samsung fashion. Fashion is, is nothing too much change. You look at the Galaxy Note 2, you look at, the Galaxy S4, and I can even give you one more example with the Galaxy S3. They all literally same shell, same look, same feel. So if you like that, you'll like this. This does give you the micro SD slot on the outside to the left. Got a 5-megapixel camera on the back. You also have an infrared port on the front. On the on the right side, and when you hold it in landscape, you can take advantage of that. It even adjusts to the landscape mode when you want to use it, so that's definitely pretty cool. Volume buttons, power button, and that 3.5mm jack up top. Typical micro USB at the bottom. So definitely keep that in mind. Some pretty nice features overall. It's got Android 4.12 on here. As you can see in the menus, I imagine it'll get 4.22 soon, but it does have a very nice features overall with 4.12. Just give you a quick idea. I ran the Quadrant Standard benchmark. It got 6,887, which is definitely decent, right around the same speeds as the I would say the Galaxy Note 2. So if you're used to using the Galaxy Note 2, you'll definitely like the speed you'll get with this. Using the S Pen, is pretty much what sets this device apart. I mean, honestly, with this device being at $399, if you're not going to be using the S Pen, it's probably, you're just going to pay for something you're not going to use. And, going into Note, which is definitely a cool thing, you could write on the screen. Depending on how hard you press, it gets darker. You can write lighter. So it's got some cool things. I mean, like I said, if you're into drawing, taking notes a lot of that type of thing, you'll definitely, you could definitely have a use for using this. Obviously, it's not for everybody, but it's definitely a nice feature. There's different, little templates they got here. We're doing magazines and so forth. So, very nice. If you like S Pen, you'll definitely enjoy that. Another standout feature of it, and I think, and this is with the Note as well, is if you go to the multi-window, you can pull out stuff like YouTube. You can go down here and pull out something from Google Chrome, and that's definitely one of those things where you can take advantage of multi-window, which is I definitely like. Pull that out there. And let's go back to YouTube. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. You can have two things running at one time. So I definitely like that. It even does it in landscape mode. So overall, like I said, this thing is really loaded with a lot of features on here. And it's kind of more of a premium 7-inch tablet. Because the reality is you can buy a tablet 7-inch for $200, $150. Even their older Galaxy Tab 7.0, I think I've seen it as low as $150. So, honestly, depending on what you're going to do, for some people that may be a better buy than this. But, if you're into the latest and greatest, this is definitely it. It's got a slew of features. I even like the Watch On app where you can get into it and it recommends TV shows. You could turn the power on your TV and your cable box. I mean, it just does all kind of crazy stuff. All the options, everything you can ever want, is literally just built right in. So you can use this as a expensive remote if you want. So definitely keep that in mind. As far as some of the other things in the apps, basic apps installed, nothing really too over the top. Samsung TouchWiz, if you like what they have, you'll like this. The camera, pretty nice, 5-megapixel. Takes pretty decent shots, and you don't look too crazy taking pictures with it. Obviously, with it being an 8-inch versus a 10-inch tablet, but reasonable set of options here. Just as typical Samsung fashion, just filters and panorama shot, share shot. You can do all kinds of stuff. So overall conclusion of this is like, I like this product. I could definitely recommend it to people that have a use for using the S Pen. But for $399, I would say, you know, unless you got to use the S Pen, you could definitely find something more in your price, you know, cheaper. That is, unless you don't, you know, you just want to use the Galaxy Note and you like the style and look of it, especially if you're using like, you know, S4 or, you know, older Galaxy Note, you know, because they all look the same. But outside of the aesthetics of it, I mean, honestly, you know, nice specs, but it doesn't have the latest specs as far as CPU and some of the newer features of the, you know, the Galaxy S4. So keep that in mind when you're taking a look at the Galaxy Note 8.0. But, you know, I think if this thing got a decent price drop, at least maybe to around the price point of the iPad mini, or, you know, they knock anywhere from 80 to 100 bucks off, this would be a great, you know, deal to justify going up $100. But, you know, that's just my opinion on that. So thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the site tech-snobs.com for more coverage. Take care.